Hello BookTube. Less than an hour ago, Micah Bibliophile Book Escape done a very interesting video idea that I wanted to join in on. He pretty much has an idea of like a book time capsule pretty much. And you have to pick 5 genres, and in those 5 genres you have to pick 5 books that you would put into a time capsule for people to open it 1,000 years later. And I saw that video. I was like, I've only got 10 minutes to go before work, so I'll write all of this down and quickly film it. So this is my first draft of what I would put in a time capsule. So it's going to be a bit chaotic, but I've broken down my list right here into romance novels I would put in a time capsule, just general classics, Christian nonfiction, children's books, and poetry. So let's start with what I just quickly wrote down. The first book I would put in the time capsule was going to start with romance, is The Flame and the Flower by Kathleen Woodward. Arguably, probably is the first bodice ripper romance ever. Came out in the mid-70s. It's pretty much the 50 Shades of its time, but historical. I'm putting it in because it's historically important, even though it's probably not the best book ever, but I kind of like it. Then we're putting When the Scott Ties the Knot by Tessa Dare, of course. We need to remind people of how hot Scottish men are in 1,000 years. So we're chucking in Tessa Dare. The Wall Winnipeg in Me by Mariana Zapata too, a more contemporary book to show off sports romance, so we're chucking her in, and it's probably the best slow burn romance I've ever read. We're also putting in The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood too, chucking in some popular romance, some STEM, get that in there. And then we're also putting in, I have this next to me because I was looking at it today, Earls Just Want to Have Fun, yeah, by Shana I can't say her last name. And just to show off some fun Regency romance. You thought I was going to put Hayer on this list, but no, I went with Earls Just Want to Have Fun, not Girls, but maybe, hopefully they still know that song, but yeah, we're going to put Earls Just Want to Have Fun to represent historical. And I could have kept going, but I only want to do 5. Next, we're moving on to classics. Now, I could have picked some of the big ones. I could have picked Dante, could have put Shakespeare, Homer. We all know those names. Austen, they'll still be around, hopefully. I'm going to be putting Pindar's Odes in, some ancient Greek, victory odes from the early Olympics. Incredible reading. It's fun. Also going to chuck in Horace too as a bit of a bonus. Horace is, a best friend to me. He's incredible. Magna Carta, some legislation in there, because why not? We're also putting in the travels of Marco Polo, and you can put in like all the big travelers like Cook and all that, but we're going to put in Marco Polo too. We're going to then put The Fairy Queen by Edmund Spenser, because why not? I love The Fairy Queen. I'll make room for it, trust me. We're going to slide in a sliver of a book called A Pickle for the Knowing Ones by Timothy Dexter, one of the greatest people that absolutely ever lived. Go check it out on Project Gutenberg if you haven't. It's an absolute blast to read if you can make out what he's saying. But even I have a physical copy of it, so it's so short. So Pickle, Fairy Queen. We're putting in the Sydney Psalms. Mary Sydney, she deserves to be remembered. Sir Philip Sidney will come up later, but the translations of the Psalms they wrote together are so incredible. I'm putting it in. I'm also putting in the 3 big books by Charles Darwin too. I'm putting his Voyage book, I'm putting The Origin of Species, and I'm putting The Descent of Man, because they deserve to be there, and they're incredible reading, so I'm whacking those in too. So that was classics. Now let's move on to, I decided to put Christian nonfiction because I wrote a lot in that genre. But let's start. First book, I actually got some props for this quickly. The first book we're putting in here is Jesus Through the Centuries. Yeah, this is a classic in of its own right. Probably one of the best book I've read about Jesus' examination through culture and history. Just incredible reading. Deserves to be remembered, and hopefully Jesus will still be around. Maybe it'll just be white Jesus, but who knows. We have that. Then we have Ancient Christianities by Paula Fredrickson. Again, early histories. I've also could have put Eusebius in there too, but chuck him in there as well if you have room. But yeah, we're going to give Ancient Christianities by Paula Fredrickson. We're also going to go Medieval Christianity, A New History by Kevin Madigan too. Again, representation of Christianity in the Middle Ages. And to end off like the Christian nonfiction stuff, I'm going to put in Augustine, just chuck in the confessions. I'd also put his sermons, City of God, just whack it all in. We're also putting Marjorie Kemp in there too, and Bede, the lovely Saint Bede and his incredible writings. I also forgot to put Saint Ignatius too, but chuck him in there too. Why not if we have room? And then we're going to move on to children's books. What children's books am I putting in a time capsule? Well, I'm putting in The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame, one of the greatest books, one of the most perfect books ever written, in my opinion. Charlotte's Web, of course. The Wonky Donkey, I love that one, that's going in. The Nonsense books by Edward Lear, some of the genuinely some of the greatest English I've ever read. It's just, and for a kid's book, it's just so stunning. So I'm putting Edward Lear, he deserves to be there, and Old Yeller too. So we got a bit of new, bit of old. I also could have put Where the Wild Things Are too, or what's the other ones? Winnie the Pooh and other stuff like that. But I just put those ones in. And then we're going to end with poetry. This is more of a classic list. There's one contemporary author I'm going to put in, but we're chucking in the complete works of Milton. That's going in. We need that. Sir Philip Sidney's Psalms, not Psalms, sorry. His sonnets. They're going in. Astrophil and Stella, and the other big one he does. They're all going in. Of course, we're keeping Chaucer. He can go into. He deserves it. John Donne, chuck him into, and Judith Wright. Those are some poets I'm pushing into my time capsule. And the reason I'm not putting Shakespeare or anyone else, is because they'll still be around probably. But I thought, no, Sydney is going to be put in my time capsule. All of them are. So yeah, that is a quick, I literally wrote this list in 2 minutes, example of the books I would put into a time capsule. And let me know what you thought about the books I put in. If you have a YouTube channel, please feel free to make this own video. I found it really fun and a good icebreaker to get your brain going. I thought it was really fun. But yeah, thank you, Mike, for coming up with this prompt. I was like, I have to do this now. And yeah, thank you so much for watching BookTube, and I will see you next time.